Make sure audio's working. Microphone check. All right, the audio is working. I apologize that I'm on live right now, and it showed that I was live way earlier because I thought I could like set up the dashboard and have it staging while we get everything set up. And then I noticed that the comment section was blowing up like, hey, when is he going to go on live? Again, I apologize. I didn't think that it would start the stream on my channel until I had already hit start broadcast. But I'm just waiting for Footbusters to join. Then we're going to start covering the topic. I can take a couple of comments in the chat if you want while I'm waiting for him. Anybody have any questions? Where are we here? So federal license horrible. Yeah, it appears they are going to attempt to try to push through basically a federal FOID card. And I dealt with the FOID card in Illinois, and it was horrible. And you didn't even have to commit a felony to lose your FOID card. The FOID card isn't cool. Hello, hope you all are well. Yes, we are. He's going to be joining pretty quick here. I'm going to try to plug in my phone because I didn't realize it, but the battery power is awfully low, so things may get weird for just a second. All right, it looks like it.
What's poppin', dude?
Not much. What's going on?
Just living the dream.
America. So anyway, tell us a little bit about yourself. Why are you on YouTube? What's your plan? We'll just do a little introduction so some more people can jump in because I lost a bunch because I didn't realize that when I was in the dashboard it announced that I was going live. So
oh no.
A bunch of people jumped in the chat waiting for me.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I mean, I noticed a lot of your guys like honed in on that. I mentioned that I was a mechanic. Yeah, I used to fix cars in Orlando, and I had always wanted to go to law school. I went to law school, and I realized the first like corporate law firm job I had, I was like, I cannot do this. This is
no,
like it. You know, I wanted to help people, and this is like I'm not going to bill $100 to send an email. Like that's ridiculous. So, I mean, as for your question is why do I not have money coming out of my ears? Well, because I have a conscience. So
yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I quit that immediately. Well, I quit that immediately, and I started doing civil rights stuff, and in doing that, I would do a lot of media. I'd write a lot of articles. I used to go on TV a lot, and in these events and stuff, when I was working in Washington, I met I'd go to all of these Pro 2A events. And I met all of these awesome YouTube guys, and frankly, I'd been watching all of them, and all of them. And as I got to meet them, I'm like, you guys are like really just cool dudes, like down to earth, regular people. And I started hanging out with them, and they started just goading me. They're like, just do your own channel, do your own channel. Because when they talk to me, they'd be like, you take the legal crap and translate it to plain English. You just got to do it on your own channel. So I finally, 2 months ago, I just decided to do it. That's it. There's no grand plan. I just wanted to help.
Well, see, that's kind of what I was thinking because like that Adam guy, when he did the legal brief, usually when a lawyer goes on there, it's to get recognition because they want to take some sort of public stage, but they need the people to recognize them. Otherwise, it's going to be a failure. He wanted to go into the NRA, so he did the legal brief on TGC. Got people to recognize them, put out really quality information so people noticed them and everything. And then he's like, okay, now I'm running for the NRA. And then he had the, what would you call it, the momentum to back him up, to help him in there. So that's what I was thinking. How did you get linked up with the Firearms Coalition?
Well, and also, Adam's a coworker and a really good friend. I'm not really sure that's what happened with him. I think he was just friends with John and started doing
That makes
videos.
sense.
Yeah, because I've talked to him a lot about it, and like, yeah, there are some similarities between my show and his old show, and because I talked to him and he encouraged it. So I'm not sure that happened. I know he had those bids and stuff, but I think he was done with it like long before he finished doing the legal brief.
I
As
wonder
for
why.
I'm done with like his bids. I think he just didn't want to deal with it. Done with the type of running for those positions. But
Makes sense.
don't ask me. Don't ask me. Like I'm not the guy.
Right, we're just speculating anyway.
Yeah. That's all we can do. But no, he's a wonderful dude. As for how I got hooked up with FPC, and I used to work for a think tank, and I was really involved in federal litigation on gun rights stuff, and because when I went into doing civil rights stuff, I was actually doing mostly tax, and then they started coming out with gun cases, and I thought like getting into 2A stuff would be impossible because I was like, that's so sexy and cool, like there's no way I'll be able to do 2A stuff. And then they came in and they're like, does anyone want to do this like gun case? And I was like, me. And so then instantly, gun guy. So I was making sure that we were filing in all these gun cases that I thought were really important. And the FPC guys noticed me because I kept filing in their cases. So
Makes sense.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about HR 127. Now,
Well, before we go there, should we address the elephant in the room? How you and I are even talking right now.
Oh, Instagram.
No. I mean, the misunderstanding we had about the video.
Oh, we can.
Yeah. So, just full disclosure, my videos were not about you. The one where it had the Coloma resale thing in, that one I was responding to some of the things you were saying, but like I never. And you know what? I did it, and you made me realize this. I was doing a bad job of showing that I'm not attacking people. I hate that gun laws are so convoluted and garbage, and they can do so much stuff that we're just never surprised anymore, right? Like if they came out and said no more blue paint on guns, right? We'd be like, of course,
Makes sense.
So, yeah, I attack the myths. I did never want to attack you. I never want to attack anybody. Like frankly, you and Frank, I love your videos. I watched your 1897 videos with my buddies, and it's just I had a great time. So no, I'm attacking what I see as, if you miss a detail or we read something and we think it says X when it really says Y, what that does is my fear is that if we believe that the law says more than it does, we've given up our rights without actually even fighting, right? We like the people who think, people in Florida who think you have to have 3 steps to carry a gun. That's all crap. So people who think
anything about the Florida.
Oh, yeah, well, that's just one example. But I'm saying if we think that there's more laws out, there's so many laws. If we think that there's more restrictions than there actually are, I feel like we're losing rights unnecessarily. And so that's why I attack myths. It's nothing to do with the community. I love the community. I just want to make sure that we are fighting, or do my best to make sure, I can't tell anybody to do anything. I want to be sure that we're fighting the law, not making up laws to bind ourselves against.
Right on. Self-imposed, what the hell do they call that? Self-imposed. Not self-imposed restrictions. There's a word for this. I just can't think of it right now.
Yeah, I can't think of it either, but like and I say it in my videos at the end, I really believe this. Anything more than like the bare minimum compliance with the law is just regulating yourself, self-regulation. Which again, why would we do that? We want as much freedom as as possible. So
there's a bunch of people asking about like the 3-step and stuff like that. So we'll hit on that after the HR 127 because that's what I got in the title and we got to deliver. And then we'll go back and more to the chat. We can dig into stuff longer if you guys want. All right. So HR 127, from what I'm gathering, that appears to be some sort of federal pushed FOID card. Now, I've dealt with the FOID card in Illinois. That was horrible. That's actually the reason my AR-10 got stolen, because I had a stash hole in my wall that the AR-10 was in, and I didn't bring it with me because I didn't get my FOID card yet. And I was, I guess you could say, illegally possessing a gun in Illinois, and I didn't want to get pulled over with it. drove to Wisconsin, left it in Illinois. The person that had helped build it for me obviously knew it was there.
Oh no!
Knew my gun was there. Came and got my gun. But yeah, if you get caught in Illinois without your FOID card and you are in possession of one bullet, shell, cartridge, case, whatever, I think it can actually be a separated bullet. I don't know that for sure, but that's what I was told when I was there. Firearm, any sort of ammunition. If you go into a gun shop and ask to see a firearm without your FOID card, that's also a problem. No, thank you. I don't want any. I'm talking to you. No, I don't want any popcorn. I'll eat some later, okay? So anyway, they'll prosecute you on a state level. Now, my cousin had lost his FOID card because he was doing Sea Cadets. What that is it's a non-deployable unit of the military, and it's for people under the age of 18 that preps them if they want to go into special forces. And they had an airsoft thing going on. He just so happened to have a real gun there because he was going to do some gun demonstrations. Neighbor thought he was crazy. They came and confiscated his firearms, took his FOID card. He had to go into a psychologist to get tested for crazy. She got him to fail or just wanted more money, more classes or whatever. And so his FOID card has been terminated ever since because he refuses to go back to the psychologist, and he's just going to wind up moving to a different state.
Look, this is the huge problem with this type of laws. Any time of registration or like permit-based scheme, and I have a problem with even places like North Carolina where you have to have a pistol purchase permit. Like, what that does is it says, hey, that thing that's your right, it flips it right over. How is it your right, if you can't do it without explicit permission? Does that sound like a right to you?
Not very much.
No, and I think it's the most embarrassing type of law that we have. And I've been able to say up to now, like, thank God we don't have that for general firearms possession. I think it's a huge problem that we have registration requirements for suppressors and machine guns, right? So yeah, this bill, the text of the new one hasn't been released yet, but I'm going to assume it's the same one she's been filing every year.
How long has this been filing?
I didn't actually see how long back, but a lot of these bills that you'll see coming out, especially in the early stages of this session, will be the same bills that these politicians have been filing for like the last 6 or 8 years. So this was filed in 2019 by the same person with the same short title as the, let's see, what does she call it? The Sabika Chic Firearm Licensing and Registration Act. And this is even worse than the Illinois FOID card because...
What are the differences and how can it affect us?
Well, it straight up prohibits the possession of certain types of ammunition, which, I'm guessing
AP or tracer rounds or something like that. I'll be in there,
right?
Or maybe they might even do something ridiculous like lead-based ammunition and be like it's for the environment.
So it's not greater than 50 cal; it's 50 cal.
What do you mean?
It's unlawful for any person to possess ammunition that is 50 cal or greater.
Oh,
not
wow.
Greater than 50 cal, but 50 cal or greater. That's problematic. And
that is.
Yeah. Large capacity ammunition feeding devices. Like it's just, so it's a mess. So what this does is it sets up a system where in order to have a gun license at all, right? Just the gun license at all, you have to do the standard things that you'd imagine, right? Background check. Plus, you have to submit to psychiatric evaluation. Which, like,
it's actually written in there?
Mm-hmm. Here, hold on. Look.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Part 2, licensing system requirements, psychological evaluation. The evaluation conducted in compliance with such standards as shall be established by the Attorney General. And like this, it doesn't really say anything, which is the worst type of federal law. Because it means, well, it means that the administrative agencies like ATF get to just make up the rules, which, these are all of the problems that we've been having. So yeah, requirements for a general license, you must be 21 years of age. So, hey, if you're an adult aged 18 to 20, sorry, you're not a real human, I guess.
Yeah, I'm assuming it'll be the same FOID card restrictions too, so you won't be able to go hunting if you're under the age of 21.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but it seems to be, own and possess. So there's 2 requirements: criminal background check, undergoes a psychological evaluation, and does not indicate the individual is psychologically unsuited to possess a firearm, which is woefully specific. And 3, successfully completes a training course certified by the Attorney General in the use, safety, and storage of firearms that includes at least 24 hours of training. Wow. So, hey, you working class guys, do you have 24 hours to just blast on on training?
Well, what, 4 hours of class? I mean, that's several days of training.
And it doesn't sound cheap.
Oh, it never is. Same with the psych val. It's probably going to be $500 to see the psychologist, and she's going to have you come back.
You can say, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, because I looked at your Twitter.
And, further investigation.
Yeah, and we need to make sure. So they want their chunk of flesh, right? This is it's such a mess. And what the worst part about this is, I've always said, the most important people, like the Second Amendment, is most important to working class people and minorities. Okay.
Well, yeah, because if you're rich, it don't matter. You can do whatever you want.
Well, you can do whatever you want, but also you don't really get credible threats of violence. The overwhelming majority of victims of violent crime are poor people and minorities, and the working class in addition, right? So who are the exact people that are going to have a hard time complying with this? Oh, the same people that need a gun, right?
Agreed.
So it's immoral. It's not just stupid, it's immoral. And yeah, then there's like this. You need a special license if you're going to display your antique guns, because of course it has a safe storage requirement. And you have to be trained in safe storage of guns, which I'm guessing means my little display here is out of the question.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So but I mean, all this said, and yeah, and there's a specific, you have to get an extra license if you want to possess military style weapons.
Which I suppose is going to be impossible to get, or insanely expensive.
Yeah, it says. But yeah, no, and of course they have a whole. It basically copies the 94 assault weapons ban, but I think they use one feature, kind of like what California does. Yeah, military style weapons.
A lot of us don't live in California, so, well, I shouldn't say a lot of us. Most of the country lives in California. But for the people that don't live in California, explain exactly what makes an assault rifle California definition. Like, what do you mean one feature? What are you talking about?
So, back in 1994, when we had the federal assault weapons ban, there was a list of features, right, that were deemed military. And there was no logic behind any of these, by the way. They just put down what made sense to them. And I did a lot of research on this. I wrote a paper on it, and I was trying to find the logic behind including different terms. And like when I got to bayonet lug, the argument in support of including bayonet lug was just the words, like a guy saying on the floor, obviously a bayonet lug has no purpose aside from the military. Like, that was it. That was the whole point. But so yeah, so we've got bayonet lug, we've got flash hider, we've got threaded muzzle, we got pistol grip, we've got capability to accept a detachable magazine more than X rounds. There can be other things depending on the particular permutation of the law, like grenade launcher, which doesn't mean like a 203. It means the spigot on the end of your Yugo SKS.
Really?
So yeah, places like in places with really strict assault weapons bans, if you have one of those things, you're no good. So that's why you have that's why a lot of ARs and stuff that you saw in the 90s had their bayonet lugs cut off and no threads on the end of it. Because in the 94 assault weapons ban, you got to get away with a couple of those features. So you just get the pistol grip and the detachable magazine, and then you wouldn't have a threaded muzzle, you wouldn't have a bayonet lug, you wouldn't have, it would look gimped, right? So this kind of copies those more extreme, at least I think it copies those more extreme versions.
I got a super chat here. In the UK, you got a license for plastic forks.
Okay.
Am I reading that wrong? In the UK, you got a license for that plastic fork.
Oh, he's making it's a meme. He's it's like a
Fill me
it's
in.
like a meme.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, it's like it's basically it's making fun of the UK, which everything is like, you got a license for that? You got a license for that opinion? Did he spell it like that? LOI license?
Can you see the comments on your screen?
No, I just see StreamYard.
Oh, well, that sucks. It's LICENSE.
Oh, yeah, usually the meme is license. They're like, you got a license for that spoon, you got a license for that permit, because everything is behind a license.
Xana, no singing. I'm streaming. No singing.
But it's so wonderful.
All right, so this is an ugly bill. If it did go through, I doubt it would go through as a whole thing. I totally agree with you on that. If any of this goes through out of this bill, what do you think would go through? I'm going to mute my mic for a second because she's singing.
Yeah, so we don't get to like red pen bills like this, so we kind of have to take it as all or nothing. As for ideas from this, so I'd like to kind of talk about what would happen if it did go through. So if it went through, I do think that there's a chance that the Supreme Court would want to step in here because it clearly violates the Commerce Clause insofar as it regulates the possession and trading of firearms that are completely within a single state. The federal government simply does not have the authority to do that. That's not to say that they haven't been doing that, right? But the Supreme Court's kind of been itching to claw back some of that power and fix these problems that have existed in our law for a long time. And I think if they were to do something as extreme as this, that it would force the court to wake up and do something about it. So I think they kind of know that, and that's the same reason I don't really feel like assault weapon bans are forthcoming, at least in this administration, because the court is fairly strong, and if you do something so far-reaching, there's going to be a lot of different avenues for the court to strike it down without even necessarily making a Second Amendment argument. So I think that what I think that we're going to see, and it's in here, or and I don't know, I've stopped making bets about politics and stuff a long time ago, but what I think we're probably going to see most likely is going to be universal background checks, which are, I think, also immoral because they make transactions costlier and there's no justification for it whatsoever. And probably some kind of like federal red flag funding setup deal. That's what I think would be the first things they go for.
All right, I got a super chat. He said, I like that Woodstock rifle behind you, Fudbusters, that military surplus. We can't actually bring firearms on the stream. They can be behind us as like just stuck on the wall. But if he reaches back and touches it or like interacts with it, it would be the stream would get pulled.
Yep. But that's a Gewehr 33.
Oh, there was a bunch of people asking if you had a zip gun in your video too.
Yeah. And
did you make it yourself?
No, it's a USFSA zip gun or USFA whatever. And it's an objective pile of garbage, but I'm a collector, and my focus is French firearms, Floridian-made firearms, and guns that shouldn't exist. And that's one of them. And I got all the accessories for it, including the SBR attachment. And I'm going to be honest, that one works. It shouldn't work. It is a terrible piece of trash, but I do think it's a cool talking piece. I'm happy to have it in my collection, and no, I'm not taking it down. I'm proudly displaying my garbage.
So, do you think this bill will be used as some sort of negotiation to push something else through, or like some sort of compromise, or do you think it's just a puff of smoke?
I think this is grandstanding. I think that this, and look, it was grandstanding when she did it the first time. It died in committee. Might get a little farther this time, but here's the thing. It's 50. Everybody's saying it's 50-50, and Kamala Harris is splitting it in the Senate, right? However, they forget there's a couple Democrat senators that are actually vaguely pro-gun. I'm not going to say I'm not going to say they're amazing, right? But they're actually, they might buy in for like universal background checks or red flag laws, but they're not going to buy in for something like this because they have very strong firearms industries in their state. And so they're not going to do that because it would be political suicide. What we have to be worried about is those couple of, and frankly, and I'm not going to be the kind of guy that'll say Republicans will protect you or either. I think, I think everybody who will vote against your rights is an enemy. But there will be a couple Republicans that are soft and squishy. So it really is going to be on those little nuanced details that we're going to see either the, semi-friendly Democrats go, not signing this, versus the squishy Republicans going, heck, that looks good, And that's why I really think that if we've got something to be prepared for and working hard to fight against and spreading the word about how it's actually not such a good idea, it's going to be those universal background checks, those red flag laws, those things that people who haven't thought about gun law, haven't thought about the consequences the way we have, they kind of think those are no-brainers, right? We have to really make sure those people think about the bad effects those laws might have.
Right on. I don't know if you heard this rumor, but I just recently heard about it on another stream. Apparently, there was supposed to be some sort of public service announcement going off on our phones at 9 o'clock, which we're already past. But they did some sort of update and shut off the emergency services broadcast on a lot of your phones. You hear anything about this?
I have not heard a word of that. I was on the road all day today, though. So
allegedly, I don't know if there's any truth at all. I don't know if there's any truth at all behind this, but apparently Trump wanted to do some sort of public service announcement. And then allegedly, I didn't get the update, but there was a whole bunch of users that got Apple updates on their phone where they removed the announcement button.
I mean, I haven't heard of that, but to be honest, I have no idea. To be honest, seeing how these tech companies have been behaving.
I know it's ridiculous, and
it's kind of funny because, usually when you're a business, you want to be nice to your customers,
customer service, right?
Yeah, I run a gun shop too. Me and my best friend have a little one here in Florida, and I can tell you that if I'm mean to a customer and tell them I don't want their money, they don't come back. And I don't really see much of a benefit to that. So I don't understand why these companies are saying, hey, 50% of the population gets stuffed, right? That doesn't seem like a good idea.
It feels like they're opening up a door for competition to walk through.
Well, they're begging for it. They're saying, hey, anyone right of the dead center, I don't like you. And so then what are those people going to do? Oh, heck, guess I better change my vote. No, they're going to listen. Everybody could sit there and just be spoon-fed and eat your product. And you'd be well, come on. Who wouldn't kill to be in that position as a business where just everybody is forced to use your product? So they're literally in that position. Why the heck are they trying to mess with it and try to suppress 50% of the population? I cannot comprehend it at all.
I have no idea. Did you hear about all the people that went into the Capitol? It spooked the politicians so much they allegedly, again, I can't confirm
I
this.
never heard about that. What happened?
Already arrested 400 people.
I'm joking. Including some of my proud countrymen of the nation of Florida. Man, crazy. I mean, it was wild. It was
definitely know you got their attention.
It was good TV is the only thing I'd have to say about that. I don't know what's going to happen from it. I don't know if it's going to be good or I don't know if it's going to be bad. It's hard to know anymore.
If they hit them with the full extent of the law, what are their charges going to be looking like?
I mean, I don't know. There's so many different things here. I think it would be odd, right, to charge all these people. I mean, it would certainly be a tremendous scare tactic. I don't know. I don't think it's sedition the way people are saying that, because they're not they didn't come to install a new government, or maybe they did. I don't know. I can't go in those people's minds, but I mean, you're generally not supposed to steal stuff from the government. So, I mean, that was really cool. I'm not gonna lie. I will go the rest of my life sad that I will never have been able to steal a speaker's podium.
I know. And the picture we got while taking it was so photogenic.
It was.
That'll be
I mean,
memes
it was
for
a
years.
slick moment, but you know what? It is like that is definitely illegal, and I could see, you know, if I were the federal government, not wanting to let that slide. So, but I mean, thank God I'm not the federal government, because I would probably be awful.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at? Like trespassing, theft, obviously for that guy. Is there any other laws that prevent you from what do you even call that? Uninvitedly entering a Capitol?
Well, you can torture a lot of things in a lot of different ways, right? Like violence against well, I mean, like, you know, the real term is vandalism, right? I mean, but I don't know how you're going to tag people with that unless you specifically had evidence that they were the one breaking, because they ransacked the place, right? So, and also, I also don't know if you can trespass into that building. I know that they can remove you. I really don't know, because when I've gone there a bunch of times, and you know, we went through security and all this stuff, so it wasn't like it was just like it's open to the public, but it's not open to the public. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
When I went in, it was like, who's your business with, and you know, they were asking me all these questions, and it didn't feel like it was open to the public. So I just don't know. I really don't understand how DC like property law works like that. It's a strange place. It's like nowhere else in the country, that's for sure.
Also, another viewer had sent me, it was a section in the Constitution saying that it was long. It was a long read, but the gist of it is that the president needs to be picked in that specific building, and allegedly a bunch of them were Skyping because of the coronavirus, and he was trying to make the argument that was not a legitimate presidency pick because they were not in that building, and it says it has to be done in that building. Do you know anything about what Constitution he's talking about? And
well, I'm assuming it would be the United States Constitution.
well, you know, the section of the Constitution.
Well, so it would be in the articles, but there's a lot of stuff that that is pretty clear, like proportional representation, that the government has just been ignoring for a long time. And I mean, like, this might shock you guys, but the federal government violates the Constitution on a daily basis. So and it's actually, like, I encourage all of you to read the Constitution, like the whole thing. It's fascinating how much specificity there is in there for how the government is to be run. And be sure to read Article 1, Section 8, which lists the powers that the federal government has. And you'll notice that there's not many of them. But they certainly do a lot of stuff. So I'm just unfortunately not terribly surprised when the feds, you know, just tend to wipe themselves with the constitutional command.
Now, you personally, do you feel any more sort of panic after what we've been seeing lately? Because I noticed, like, after the DC raid, the traffic inside the store spiked right back up again. And they were buying whatever I had left, like M1 Grands, revolvers, anything at all, any ammo, even the stuff that would normally never even consider of being relevant.
Yeah, like 6.5 Swede or whatever.
Yeah, 338 Winchester.
Oh, neat. I wonder if they're just like, maybe it'll fit.
Take the powder out and make something else.
Yeah, but. Well, I mean, maybe no, they're after the primers, man. You can't get those. Maybe that's what it is. But you know what? Well, let me ask you something though, and this is going to lead into why I think that not all of these bills have as much of a chance as people believe. How many people, as a gun salesman, have you sold gun to that you knew were liberal progressives in the past year?
It was the third wave. Yeah, right around the third wave. Somewhere between like July and August. I think it was like the end of August. We were basically running out of everything. every single one of them new firearms owners. I took more people to the range in that short period of time to give them the down and dirty safety. Don't point it in this direction.
Yeah.
Here's how your controls work. Because they'd come in and you could just see the lost on their face.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, you've never touched a gun before, have you? They're like, well, when I was 8, my dad had one, and that was 54 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm really scared about the rioters coming into my town and burning it down. I don't want to be on the street beaten in front of, my grandchildren.
Yeah.
I want at least the option to defend myself.
That's understandable, right?
Yeah, I don't want to be beat down.
No, it's not.
But yeah, it was that period right there, like the people that never bought guns before, so they take their slush fund that they would spend on like call girls or their slush fund they would spend on expensive jewelry, and it got diverted to guns, and that's what really truly wiped us out. Like that was when they just came through and bought everything. Before, people would be looking for deals, buy the quality stuff. No, they bought everything.
Yep, I had to start even like some of my guns from my personal collection. I had to bring into the shop because we had to have
sold one.
Only one.
I sold one to a friend.
Okay,
I yelled at him too.
No.
So I was preaching the whole time. Like over a year ago, I'm like, dude, election's coming up. I'm like, seriously, whatever's going on now will be worse then. Then coronavirus came. I'm like, dude, you gotta buy a gun while you can, get some ammo. And then it got into July. He's like, hey man, you still got a gun? I'm like,
yeah, I got plenty of guns. They're in the past. But I mean, for me, it was like I looked through and I was like, anything that because I've been collecting for a long time, and anything I had duplicates of, I was like, and that wasn't insane, right? Like I said, most of my guns are totally insane, like not very useful. But if it was anything that I was like, some family needs this, I just, took them into the shop and didn't even really mark them up ridiculously, right? Like, but to me, it was the duty, I felt like the need that if somebody comes in and there's nothing, I'd feel really bad, Well,
I hear you too, but you can't save them all.
No.
I made sure the community was good. I held back ammo because I knew that we were going to be really short because I went to go buy some more and just.
Did you start putting it in baggies?
Huh?
Did you start putting in little baggies?
Yeah, I had to. 0, and if anybody came in I knew or from the town, then I'm like, well, I got a little bit.
Right.
I got like 50 rounds I can sell you, but that's it.
No, and I mean, if I had money coming out of my ears, I would have kept all my guns in my collection. So that's how I don't.
Right.
But so I was like, I could use the money, and also it's the right thing to do. So I did it, and my buddy did it. My business partner did it, and it felt good. But now we're just out of guns. So
I lucked out. My store held out longer than everybody else's because there was an ex-gun shop owner from a different state. Well, the person who bought his business out couldn't afford the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So he took a whole bunch of the inventory with him, and it's been sitting in boxes in his house because it was the only way he could get it cheap enough to afford it.
Right.
So we just now got to the point where we're like, shit, what do we do about ammo? But now it's starting to come up a little bit to where we can score it at gun shows and stuff and bring it in. Plus a major box store just closed down the road from us. So they brought all their pallets that they had in the back that they were bringing 2 boxes a day out and brought that up to the front. So we're just like, clear the shelf.
Nice.
So that helped a lot.
Yeah, no, we've been able to get some ammunition recently. Weird stuff, but we've been able to get some. Got a lot of 9 Makarov. That's going. I guess with all those, I guess those Bulgarian Makarovs came in at the right time, right? There's probably a bunch of people that are depending on those guns right now.
They could be.
Yeah, I knew a guy. Those Beretta 1951s. My friend works over at Moss Pawn and Gun, and he was telling me, he's like, when that happened, all those Beretta 1951s gone.
Now, Moss Pawn and Gun, isn't that where Iraq veterans out of?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I called there once when I was first getting up a shop, asking about tax questions, which is a question I'm still having problems answering. So I'm in Wisconsin, right? If
I give you legal advice, I'll get in big trouble.
No, I'm just saying this. Like why it was so weird. Okay. So if I'm in Wisconsin, right? Mm-hmm. And this person's in Illinois, and I charge them sales tax in Wisconsin. Like I couldn't get a straight answer out of anyone. I called the ATF, I called the IRS, everything. I'm like, so if I sell it to them, am I charging them Illinois tax? And if I charge them Illinois tax, do I mail it to Illinois? Do I charge them Wisconsin tax? Do they not get charged any tax? Because technically they're not buying it. The other gun shop is. They're just paying for it, and the other gun shop is buying it. They're taking possession of it, which they have a resale license, which means they're tax exempt.
Right.
So ultimately, it just came down to I didn't charge anyone tax because I'm not selling it to them. I'm selling it to the gun shop, which is tax exempt. Now, the gun shop can choose whether or not they want to sell them tax. And then when it started getting weird on the internet where everybody started charging tax, well, that's when Facebook booted me off of there anyway. And that's where I was getting most of my out-of-state sales from. So it wasn't really a problem.
Oh, you're selling on Facebook. That's awesome.
Well, I was. That's what I grew the business off of. Because you're supposed to take 4 years to grow a business. I did it in 11 months. I just started attacking trolls on Facebook, and everyone liked me, so they started buying from me. Like, oh, sell me something.
Yeah. No, sorry about that. I get jumpy when people like ask me tax questions and stuff because, especially when it's on video, I'm like, if the Florida bar sees me do that, I'll be like, I'm sure they don't like me. I'm sure they don't like me, you know. Right. So I'm always like, I can't give you. But I mean,
I called the IRS, and they wouldn't give me an answer.
But they won't do it because they hire a bunch of lawyers who are scared about giving legal advice.
And then I called the ATF. They wouldn't give me an answer either. Like, I guess
the IRS
feels right to you.
Yeah, I actually worked on it. I worked on a Supreme Court case on this, and it came out the wrong way. I really think that the court got it wrong. I really think that the case should be that if you are engaging with somebody outside of your state, that your state government has no jurisdiction over the transaction, and that their state government certainly has no jurisdiction over you. Right? I feel like it would be like me parking on the street and then, you know, a New York City cop giving me a ticket. Like, that's how it feels like to me. But I think but the court went the other way. And so now states depends on your state. Well, it depends on the other state. States can compel you to collect their tax if you make over a certain amount of transactions or a certain dollar amount. But who's counting? I don't.
Yeah, what am I going to mail it to them? Here, Washington.
I'm not kidding. Like, what do they expect me to do? Oh, that one's going to Washington. One. Okay. And then they keep checking. Did we get to 200? Because we got to start taking the. Dude, that gets my blood boiling. I think that is so wrong. I hate taxes. And yeah, and I became a tax lawyer, which that was cute, but.
Well, that's the argument I was having with them too. I'm like, that gun shop, in order for them to be a gun shop, in order for them to legally be engaging in business, they have to have a resale license. If they have a resale license, they are tax exempt. I am turning possession over of the firearm to them because I cannot sell it directly to the customer. Right. The customer just happens to be paying for it.
They are tax exempt because those items are bought for the purpose of resale.
Correct.
So that means that the state anticipates that there will be sales tax revenue upon that item. So if you sell it online and the person out of state pays you, that gun store isn't going to get, right? They're not going to have an opportunity to collect tax on it. They're going to have an opportunity to collect tax on the transfer fee if they do.
There's the tax.
But that would mean that the item itself was never taxed. I think that, like, in my opinion, like reading the Constitution, I mean, that stupid document, it should be that it went from out of state. Sorry. You know, that's how I think it should be. But the way the powers that be read it is that, nope, somebody's got to pay tax on that. And it's all of your job to make sure that somebody does. So that's why it's tax. That's why tax exempt is between businesses, because the assumption is that at some point the end user is going to pay a tax on it. But if the end user has already paid you, right? The theory is that that's the taxable transaction, because there's not going to be another transaction down the road. And the way this was handled before the Supreme Court made a total mess of it is the states would require every person, the states that have sales tax. By the way, not all states have a sales tax. They act like they need it to survive. Everyone would be required to pay a use tax to the state for those items that they bought out of state without paying sales tax on. Of course, nobody did that.
Yeah, right.
It's like, because who's going to go snitch on themselves to donate money to the government? But yeah, that's It was because people weren't paying their use tax that they did the case of South Dakota v. Wayfair. And
how did they wind up ruling that? So what are you supposed to...
I mean, it's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah, because I was trying to look into it, and I'm just like, what in the hell are they talking about? I'm like, well, I'm on Facebook anyway, so I don't even care.
So it's about Nexus Theory, and so that's basically
it's about a theory.
Yeah, it's Nexus Theory, which is, well, the sale may not have happened in 2 states. There was a nexus inside the one state, and
the
so
hell's a nexus?
Well, like so basically that you or they, whoever the taxing state is, that person in that state had some connection to your state, right? Including, like, the theory is like through an email, right? Like that email. So I may not have gone to Illinois, but I sent an email to Illinois, and that email was my agent. And because that agent was in Illinois, and that's not the theory the court ultimately adopted, but you could tell that they were informed by that theory, because they didn't really adopt a theory. They just kind of said, if you sell enough stuff, then I guess you got to pay sales tax. But
did they give a dollar limit?
No, but but they said they approved South Dakota's, which was $200,000. It was $100,000 or $200,000, or 100 or 200 separate transactions, whichever comes first. Which, if you sell like paper clips, right, for 5 cents, why does it make sense that after you sell 100 5-cent paper clips, you should be collecting sales tax for another state? Whereas another person who, sells $50,000 cars, if they only sell one car, they don't have to, right? Like, that seems, but that's also one of the reasons why when you go on eBay and Amazon and some of them places, and you get directly from the, the affiliates, you don't always pay a tax if your state requires this. It's the question of whether or not they've reached that nexus to necessitate reporting.
Yeah, well, anyway, back to what I was saying, like, way in the beginning. Yeah, I called a Iraq Veteran 88 shop because I'm like, dude, I am reading through this and I don't understand a thing. I'm like, what do I do about out-of-state sales tax? What do you guys do? I want to copy that because you're big enough. If somebody's going to take it, you're going to take it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we just charge tax to everyone because we don't even know what the hell to do. I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that works.
One way to do it.
Yeah, right? Because, I was like
trying to... It's not the baller way to do it, but...
I was trying to put this together in my head. I'm like, all right, so I got person A, we got the store, which is out of state. So this state is irrelevant. What happens in this state to this state. Yeah. And then he sends it over to a tax-exempt party. So there's no tax collected there, but the money's already paid for. I'm like, the transfer fee. Boom, there.
Yeah, I mean, I like your theory, but unfortunately it's the gun that's the taxable thing. But heck, I mean, if you don't get in trouble, whatever. That's all that matters.
Well, I don't sell out of state anymore anyway.
At all?
No, I don't. I could connect on YouTube, but if it starts looking like I'm trying to push guns on here, they'll just pull my channel.
Yeah.
So I actually avoid. They have to go because they used to hop in the comment section and stuff and ask to buy stuff. I'm like, dang.
Yeah, stop it.
If they go way, way, way out and like call the store when I'm there and start talking, then I'll like, okay, let's talk. But otherwise, after Facebook was removed from me, there was no way for me to communicate with other people.
So you never have to put anything on Gunbroker?
No. They go just as fast as we put them on the shelf. But I buy them so I can sell them cheap.
Okay.
If I can't sell them cheap, then I don't even waste my time. I'm like, no. They're buying a used firearm. This is what the current auction prices are ending at. We'll say $600 for this blaster.
Yeah.
I will not buy it for anything more than, like, say, $450 because I'm going to sell it at $600 because that's what the auctions are ending at. And using that gunbroker auction, because I go to ended auctions, I look at a particular gun, I take the average of all the...
Yeah, oh, the best way to find the value. Yeah.
Because what is a gun worth? What the market's willing to bear.
Exactly.
So I take the value, put it on the shelf, and it goes right out the door.
Well, that's a fair way to do it because they can look it up. That's
spin the computer around. Here's what it's going to sell for. So I want to make at least $100. So this is what I'm willing to pay.
Yeah, we do something similar, except when I get involved in buying, I'll buy weird garbage. And sometimes my weird garbage doesn't sell. So we have to cut it on Gunbroker where other weirdos can buy it.
Yeah, right. But yeah, pretty much if I follow that formula, they sell almost immediately.
No, I bet they will. I bet they will. But it's just me when I'm like, ooh, they have a Breda Cougar. I want it. Then it sits on the shelf. I was like, what is this? Why is it expensive?
But yeah, that's why people get mad at me all the time, because I'll like do a video on like a Browning A5. And before I'd even bought that and brought it in the store, I've already been on Gunbroker. I've seen what the auctions end for. Now what people are listing them for, what they're actually ending and being sold for. I'm like, you can typically get these for $600 because that's what I'm selling it for. And they'll be like, you're a maniac. My grandpa had one that's worth $5,000 and it came straight from whatever. And I'm like, dude, I'm just
going John Moses Browning.
Yeah. Well, they'll pull out the value books. And for whatever Colt, Browning, and I think Smith & Wesson, the values are just not even realistic. They'll say this Smith & Wesson is worth like $92,000 million, and I look it up on Gunbroker and it's worth like $600.
There's the older American-made firearms, and I understand not all Brownings are American-made, so don't jump down my throat. I'm telling the audience, not you. The collectors of those guns, of like Winchesters and Colts and stuff, they were in such a tight-knit community and they didn't put their information online. And so all of this stuff that they were trading at with all this weird cork sniffer BS, like, oh, if the serial number ended in 3, that means that Sheila was working on the factory floor, like all this crap. And guess what? Guess what those people did with all their knowledge? Died. So now all of that stuff is just lost. And like us younger guys,
that means nothing to me.
I don't care.
I don't know who the hell Sheila is.
Yeah, it's a cool revolver. I'll give you $600 for it, right? Is that not how you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know who Sheila is. Was she at least hot? Like, what does that have to do with the price of this gun?
Yeah, to me, I'm just like, that's a cool gun. I'd like it in my collection. Oh, well, it was made on the 3rd day of that. Not interested. I'll give you this much money.
Yeah, when I go on Gunbroker, this is what the market's willing to bear. Generally speaking, maybe there's something special about that. If you want to collect on that something special, you need to go on Gunbroker and sell it yourself.
Right.
If you're looking to sell it for me, I have to, 1, make a profit in order to keep these lights on so you can sell guns here. And 2, it needs to be a realistic price because I don't want the customer feeling screwed.
Right.
The customer is more important to me. And technically, you're not a customer, you're a distributor right now. So the customer gets precedence.
Right. No, man, that's important. I mean, and we at our shop, we also try not to stock anything that we wouldn't use ourselves. And so people sometimes come in and they ask for guns that, like if somebody wanted to buy a Zip 22 for me as a personal defense weapon, I wouldn't sell it to them. But if they're like, I collect garbage, I'd be like, all right.
Yeah, I actually went by that theory myself. Like originally when I started, because my dad's got his money, I got my money, my brother's got his money, we all have our own inventory. I started bringing in guns I would only buy. FNs, stuff like that, like high-end ARs, and my shit would just sit there and sit there. Dad comes through with just a line of Tauruses and just murders me in sales. Like, all right, I'm changing my tactics now. So I started at the cheapest possible thing and I worked my way up.
Yeah, and we're kind of small, and we're in an area with a lot of competition. So we got to separate ourselves somehow. And no, I don't only do stuff I would buy because then it would just be trash. It's like stuff that we know is good. But yeah, I mean, you can move a million Glocks, right? You can move as many Glocks as you can get.
Well, he would sell like 10 or 15 PT-111s to my one Glock 19.
Bro, yeah, but I mean, even though we're in Florida, we can't even get Torai, man. They're just going. I can't even get them from the distributor. So it's like, maybe later on, but right now we got to work with what we can get.
All right, I got a super chat here. I spent $1,200 on a 1897 Winchester that had a trench gun heat shield on it because all that was in the buddy's price range of historical weapons. Don't be me. $1,200 for a 1897 trench gun if the shit's legit, even if it's not really a trench gun.
Right.
Like Winchester's really good. The Winchester's
probably not legit. You know?
Right?
Yeah.
The Winchester's in really good shape, and the heat shield is legitimate Winchester. The heat shield alone's worth like $400. I've seen them beat down, selling for like $350. So really, if you take that price, we'll assume it's in good condition because otherwise you wouldn't have bought it. We'll say $500. So really, you only spent $700 on a Winchester 1897 that looks a hell of a lot cooler than the rest of them. And that's a quality shotgun. You didn't get ripped off, man. You're good.
Yeah, I've got one. I
Me
spent
too.
$400. No, I've got mine's just like yours. It's a very early takedown.
Nice.
Yeah, mine's just like yours. And I got it for $400. And I mean, you know, mine's beat up, but they're fantastic guns to collect, and play with. There's just so much going on in that action. It's just sometimes I just wreck it and just like look at it, look at all the stuff moving around.
Holy crap! CNR Sales is in the chat. He said
CNR
Matt.
Sales?
I don't know if he said anything earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, my Winchester 1897, it kind of sucks though because the pump release doesn't work anymore. So I can always pump it without pushing it. And if I really get moving that gun fast, because I shoot a lot of rifles, I don't know why I just don't hold the trigger, but I'll slap the trigger before the pump is all the way forward so that I'll wreck out the live shell and keep going.
I've only had one shotgun do that to me, and it was see an Arsenal saying so. That's my buddy. He's
nice.
He's who got me into YouTube. He was like, you know, I met him, and he's such a good guy, and he just kept telling me, he's like, you got to make these videos, you got to get this information out there, and I finally did it. So yeah, he's so thank you, man, for watching. But yeah, no, the only gun I've had that happen with is another gun that's designed to slam fire, the Keltec KS7.
That's designed to slam fire?
Isn't it?
I don't know. I've never had one.
It does. But I would get this. I don't know what the heck was going on. But when I run a pump shotgun, I run them hard because I'm scared of short stroking. So I go all the way back and all the way forward, like hard, because I don't want a short stroke. And on the KS7, when I would pump it all the way back, it would dump the empty shell and then dump a live shell. And then I'd close the thing and it would be closed on an empty chamber. And then my girlfriend runs it, and of course she runs it beautifully because she's just gently, you know, racking the thing. But I feel like on a shotgun like that, you should expect people to smash it around a little bit. Yeah,
without a doubt, though, my 1897 is my favorite gun.
It is?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, yeah, I got the sentimental one, my Ruger 1022 I had when I was a kid, and that's very sentimental. I'd be very sad if that was gone. But if I had all my guns laid out, and they're like, you can only have one, we're not talking about tactical or anything like that. Like, the gun I would want to keep, I'd be like, that one, no question in my mind, burn the rest.
If I had to pick one of my like regular, you know, semi-automatic guns, it would be the Keltec RFB. I love that gun. It is my favorite semi-automatic rifle. It's a bullpup FAL made in Florida. It's everything I like. It's weird, stupid, made in Florida, and it actually works good. You know, I adore the RFB. And you know, maybe mine. I know some people have had a lot of problems with them, but mine has been just awesome.
My second one would definitely be my Scar 17 because my experience with my Armor Light AR-10 wasn't that great, but I love the concept of a semi-automatic 308 that actually worked properly, and that thing just ran. I didn't even clean it for the first 300 rounds because I wanted to see how far I could push it, but my casing wore out and the primer dropped in the magazine, so then when it went in, it didn't fire, so I slowly pulled back the bolt to see if I had a squib. Well, the whole time I was dumping the gunpowder inside the action, so then I had to clean it.
You know, that's I've had that happen with 7.5 French. I've never had it happen with 308.
Well, I'm cheap, so I shoot the brass till it splits or it drops the primer.
Oh Jesus. That's well, I mean, if it works.
I'm getting away from that now. I'm starting to shoot more factory ammunition because otherwise the results I get in my video are not duplicatable.
Yeah.
Yes, I can load up some primo ammo. I can match it to the barrel. I can get beautiful group snap, but how does that help you?
I hand load like nuts. I mean, because look at my wall here, right? I need to hand load, but the problem is I can't use brass that much because I just lose it. I try my best and I always come back with like 75% of what I left with. So I think the old brass just kind of recycles out.
Yeah, because that doesn't help the viewer. They can't duplicate what I'm doing because they're not at my reloading press with my tolerances, setting to my depth, and I can't show exactly how I do it anymore on YouTube. So I got to
Right.
the point where I'm like, well, that doesn't really help them at all. So I'm trying to go to just straight up factory
Yeah.
ammo.
This is
Plus,
what
I
you're
hate,
going to use. Yeah.
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 Plus, I hate reloading. It's a pain in the ass.
You do?
Oh my god, yeah. Well,
What
because
kind
I
of crap?
start adding up, like, okay, so I spent this much hours reloading, and it cost me this much material. If I were to put this much hours in driving truck, I could have bought like 4 times the amount of ammunition.
Yeah. I mean, when you when you have that kind of option, it does make sense. But, when you're into what I'm into, like, it makes financial sense for me to reload 8 Lebel. Like, no matter,
Sure.
no matter what happens, it like always makes financial sense. But like 9mm and 223, sometimes I have to really think about it. And to be honest, I haven't reloaded those in a while, but I expect I probably will have to soon. Given,
Yeah, me too. I
yeah,
got supplies to reload for days, but
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna
So
shoot
you're not,
factory bought ammo until it just dries up completely.
yeah.
And I got
So you're
enough
not, you're sitting on a bunch of primers.
yeah, bunch of primers, bunch of tips, bunch of powder.
Yeah, I mean, you
Like,
can still get the projectiles and powder, like, no problem. But
well,
primers,
our local fleet farm drops a little handful of primers every single day.
oh yeah,
So that's enough to keep the demand quelled a little bit. So typically when I go in there, I can get a box of 50 or a box of 100 of something, pistol,
right.
shotgun, rifle, something. Something's always out there.
I'm really glad I had this policy. And any of you viewers who reload, I recommend this once all this crap calms down. My policy was, because I didn't want to order primers online because the hazmat fee was ridiculous. Just every single time I went to a gun show, I bought 1,000 round box. It's just every time. And now, just from doing that every single time, I've just got extra, a bunch of extra primers. I'm just not worried about it.
But yeah, so once the factory ammo dries up, then I'll hit
Yeah.
the reloading wrench. But otherwise, financially speaking, it doesn't make any sense to me. I could spend that time making way more money to, even at this inflated price, buy more ammunition in the long run. But it's there for like end times or whatever if I have to.
Yeah. Yep. No, I fully understand. It's to me, reloading is a Zen thing. I do it
It's
to like
thing.
a Zen thing. I do it when I'm like stressed and I need to just chill. And so it's a way to chill while also having ammunition come out.
I got 2 kids now, so that doesn't happen anymore.
Oh.
It's
I'm
more peaceful.
that. I definitely want to have kids sometime soon.
It'll happen. Whether
how much does it change your life?
Huh?
Did it like to what percent did it change your life? Because I've got people who are like it's no different, and then people who are like, oh my god, nothing.
Well, as soon as I found out my girl was pregnant with the first kid, I immediately sold the car we had and bought a Scar 17 because I knew that my finances were going to go down. And I just walked to work for a little bit and bummed rides. Then after she got a little bit older, there wasn't really that much of a difference. The second one, we immediately bought a house because I'm like, all right, we need to just go forward with this house thing. And then the finances were really kind of low. That was tough. Not the end of this year, but the end of the year before. Well, once we got over that hump, then my YouTube started picking up and things just came together. Honestly, I wouldn't trade them for the world. Like, they're the best thing that ever happened to me. But I was pretty much calmed down because I'm actually old as shit. So
really?
I was already past partying and all that good stuff. And my girl's really good to me, so it wasn't.
You got a boy and a girl, or 2 girls, or what?
2 girls.
Nice.
See, when I was a kid and I used to watch the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, I always used to pray to God I'd spend my life surrounded by girls. Not quite what I had in mind, but I'm still pretty happy.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I grew up I was the only male in the house growing up, so that was. I guess I'm used to it, but whatever happened, I'll take whatever God gives me.
Right? Is there any way you can pull the comments on yours? Because we should start pounding through comments before we jump off.
Let me, I can, is it just, I'll just pull up the YouTube. Here we go.
As soon as you see one that you want to address, hit it up.
Okay. No name is 40.
Duke and Ashley was trying to blow the whistle on all the gaslighting country in China. It's way more than what Dugan Asher was actually even explaining. Do you know that the country actually got bankrupted in the Civil War and Lincoln sold Washington, D.C. to a company called, what the hell was it called? Something America. So it sounded like America. Like, we're way, way, way in over our heads. We just don't know it yet.
Yeah, I don't know about that. This guy's asking about the rare breed triggers.
I sent them an email. They sent me an email back, so they were going to work with me, and then I
talked to them.
Forgot.
Yep, I talked to them. I was, I wanted to talk about, because they're in Florida, and so they're awesome, really awesome dudes. They're really great guys.
Well, I'm going to get a hold of them again and see if I can't get one, and if I can't, then there's actually a company that made it like in 2013 that's still available, and they still have stock, so I might buy one of theirs because it's practically the same thing. I just want to test a couple of different things. One, how bad is a trigger slap, if there is any, and two, if I hold the trigger really, really hard, do I prevent my firearm from going into battery?
I feel like that has to happen. Just
well, you'd think it would.
Yeah.
And if those two things happen, then no, it's not a good design. Well, I mean, it's a good design, and it'll work fine, but it's not something I would put in like an end of the days rifle.
No. Oh, and actually, I just want to say this. Something you say a lot that I really appreciate is you encourage people to get into manual machining. That's like,
oh yes,
not, I started off on like little Sieg machines, and now I've got a South Bend and a Tree CNC mill. It's like, it's really cheap to check your local Facebook Marketplace or whatever and get into this stuff, and you will just never be sad that you started cutting metal on a lathe. If you want to feel independent, take this man's advice. Get yourself a mill and a lathe. I'm telling you.
Yeah, even a crappy one off of Harbor Freight, just to get your foot in the door, just so you can you'll create something. You'll be like,
yeah,
that was amazing.
Yeah,
like the first time I cut my own muzzle brake, I'm like, that was amazing. I made that.
Yeah, I remember the first time I had this French thing, and it had weird threads. We got a super chat. And I was like, let me figure out the gearing, and I cut the threads, and I was like, whoa, I did that.
He asks, what's up with Polymer 80? Is it the end of 80% low receivers? They are, in fact, trying to get rid of 80% low receivers. Will they? That's hard to say. I mean, they're hitting it from a bunch of different angles. Polymer 80, from what I understand, the ATF is going on the fact that there was all the parts included, and they advertised it somehow weird. I don't fully understand it, but either which way, they decided this pile of parts is now a firearm, which is insane. It's even worse if they were really getting warning emails and they ignored them.
Well,
so,
yeah.
What's that?
If they want to hear from me, there's a Fudbusters video on that.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
I would love if you would admit is not a ripoff.
All right, we're
Polymer 80, it's not the end of 80% lowers, although they want to do that very badly. They've made that extremely clear.
Just grueling.
No, they've made that extremely clear. But the Polymer 80 raid is ATF attacking a company for being successful and marketing a product very well. That's what I think that is. Because it's all about the BBS kit. You can still get the receivers and stuff. Well, they haven't stopped them from making just the lowers. So it's all about the stupid BBS kit. And at the core of this is a very strange interpretation of the word handgun, not actually even firearm, which and this is actually, I talked with Mr. O'Kelly about this, and he's great. And I love him, by the way. We both agree that they are ignoring the term weapon in the law and just skipping and doing time travel and going back and forth. So it's a total mess. I think there's a reason we haven't seen any arrests. I think there's a reason we haven't seen more of this happening. And I think it's because they know that they don't have a leg to stand on with the way they're currently doing. When they change the regulations, that's when we have to be worried.
We don't have crystal balls and we can't see in the future. You just don't know what they're going to do. Next super chat. Is the 13 on the stock of your rifle the 13th Amendment? No. The stock, it actually goes back to a Stephen King book called The Gunslinger. There was a crystal ball that was called the Black 13, which corrupted everything it was by, and anyone that touched it got corrupted. And the 13 on the stock of the rifle stands for the Black 13. Also, there's this guy called Merlin. He was a wizard who had 13 colored balls. That goes back to there. And the Black 13 was like the evil one. And it's just, I really like that book. And so I named my rifle the Black 13.
Nice. They're asking what we think about AR pistols.
In 300 Blackout, I think it's awesome.
No, I think they're asking what's going to happen to them.
Oh, God, I don't fucking know. Because they were like, okay, stocks are cool. Okay, pistol braces are illegal. Okay, now we're going to have it's so far all over the place. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I don't know exactly. There's some people who theorize that the guiding document was actually a way for the current administration to prevent the next administration from going too far.
I've heard this.
Yeah, and I think it could be a valid theory because it was just them saying, this is how we've been thinking about it all this time. So if they suddenly change course, you can be like, what happened, right? I don't see the stuff that we've seen from them as like an actual change of course. It's kind of just like a demystifying. But I do think, I mean, we know for a fact they said it. They said they're concerned about the pistol braces, and that it's going to be a top priority. So we know something's going to happen.
I heard the advertisement too was a huge problem. Like they were hitting up solvent trap places because they were using the word silencer and suppressor and the metadata. No, in the metadata, and that's what they decided. Like, okay, so now you're searching silencer. You're admitting this is a silencer, therefore it is a silencer part. Therefore, it needs a tax stamp, and you're in illegal possession.
Yeah, I mean look, and a lot of the law has to do with intent, right? And so when they do find, this is what I always tell people, it's like, look, if you're gonna have a brace on your gun, fine, don't call it a stock. Just don't. You know, it's not gonna help anything. Just don't call it that.
Well, it's kind of like when you'd go into a head shop and be like, hey, can I see a pot pipe? And they'd kick you out of the shop.
Yeah, they're like, get out. I'll have you know, this is a fine tobacco establishment.
And you need to leave.
Yeah. And come back tomorrow without saying that word.
And Google intent. You need to Google intent. Daily reminder that Douglas McKinley was right, and we should have nuked. What? You want to read the super chat, the green one?
Man, you got the money for it. You gotta read that one.
Daily reminder that General Douglas
MacArthur.
MacArthur. Oh, MacArthur. I know who he's talking about now. Was right. We should have nuked the
Beijing.
Mm-hmm.
China.
Oh, okay. Now it's all making sense to me. We should have nuked China in the 1950s. I didn't know you said that. Thank you for letting me know, though.
I mean, I don't like nuking people, but...
Okay, you can talk for a second. Hold on, my daughter wants to get in a couple of words.
Oh, yay. The real woman behind the operation. Hello.
Yeah, right?
This, ladies and gentlemen, is the CRS Firearms, the brain behind the operation.
You don't want to talk? I don't think she expected that she would actually be getting interaction from you. Normally she just talks and then I tell her what the comments say. All right, then let me be. Where are we here? Hello, China, not China. What? You want to show them?
No, you can fix this.
After I'm done.
No, I can wait.
Let me see it. 1 second. If you see any comments you want to answer, have at it. There you go.
Coyote Brown is asking, should you trust somebody with a Zip 22 on the wall?
I don't know. I'm not old enough to really understand I understand zip guns, but to really have the fear that a zip gun would have. Because I guess
that particular thing, it's a meme. It's a meme gun. It's a notoriously bad gun. And so the general consensus is that anyone who would display such a piece of trash with pride should not be trusted. And
okay, that makes a little sense then.
Yeah.
How do
no, I'm not taking it down. I love it.
How do you like the Tavor? I think he's talking about you.
I don't like.
Because I don't have a Tavor behind me.
I don't like Tavors. That's a first gen F2000.
Ah,
Yeah.
I played that game. I played that with that gun in Call of Duty.
Oh,
it worked really well. Very reliable. Very accurate.
Yeah, the triggers are a nightmare on the F2000. It's really like a bad joke. The trigger on
Will
that
they
gun.
take PMags?
No,
that sucks.
It's exactly. I mean, I'm sure there's other mags that fit, but I tried to put a PMag in there and it won't go in. It's exact like that thing. It's tight. That GI mag I have in there, it's in there tight. Nothing bigger is going to go in there. Is the Shosha real? Yes. And there's a Chatelero 2429 underneath it, but I don't think you can see it.
Moss Pawn gun has 9mm in stock, but you have to be referred. Take no 5 limits. Screw Call of Duty. Splinter Cell. Yeah.
Moose Man is saying Dan O'Kelly has blown apart ATF's definition. That's true. He was right when he started, and he's right now. The definition is crap. The problem is if they fix it, I just hope it won't make life worse for us. I hope it'll. What I think they'll probably do.
I don't see him wasting that opportunity to make things worse for us.
Here's the thing, and this is one of the few areas that we were disagreeing on. That I think what they're going to want to do is what they always do, and look backwards and refudge it to make exactly what they've been doing all this time, like the right way, because they're not going to want to deal with, like, if they decide to make it the upper, for example, and which would be, like, frankly, correct, because that's the part that receives the barrel, like that's the word receiver. Then they'd have all of these millions of unserialized uppers out there that they'd feel very anxious about. I think that they're going to desperately want it to keep exactly the way it is. So they're probably going to either say something like has the most of the following 5 elements, or 4 elements if you don't count it being a single part, which I count that as an element. Either the most or, based exclusively on determination of the Attorney General. Which I'm sure they would just right, like that. It's going to be something like that. But I mean, like, you see what I'm saying? They're not going to, like, yeah, the SCAR and stuff. The uppers consider the receiver on those, but it's like random on all the different guns.
It is.
But do you see what I'm saying? I think they're going to want to keep it exactly the way they've been doing it, so they just don't have to worry about looking back and rejiggering this and that.
I don't think they can stick it to us hard enough doing it that way. Like, I think what they'll probably do is any firearm manufactured after date X from now on in the AR-15 or what's another one? Must have like serial number. Also, how would you word that? Serial number.
Very hard.
Huh?
It would be very hard because the problem is the regulation has to define the term frame of receiver. Which, like, they don't get to just make something. Well, I mean, they might make something up anyway, but they're technically bound by the term frame of receiver, so they have to give a technical definition of that. And so that's why I think the way they're going to want to do that is to just say, 2 out of 3 of the following, right, or something, and that way they get to keep everything.
I'm sitting more that wouldn't be enough to screw us. I'm thinking that if I had a crystal ball, I believe it would show me that they'll go, as of this date forward, the upper and lower must be serialized. They count as a unit.
Well, I think that would be the right way to do it. And the way me and my evil lawyer mind reads that is, so when they're not a unit, they're not a firearm. But
that's a good point.
Yeah, but that's how I want it to be, because that's how I read the law as it is now. I think that when they're like this, I don't think they're a firearm. I think they only become a firearm when they're pinned together.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So,
but they might get no, they couldn't do that either.
So yeah, it has to define a part. It has to define one part. It has to.
Yeah.
So or they could if
Just
they wanted
add-
to be tricky.
Just add and AR-15 receivers after their definition.
Yeah, no, it's this and the lower receiver of the AR-15. I mean, I get like they could totally smash that into the Federal Register, but then the other part is like, dude, look at a stamped AK. That thing has even less than the AR has. It doesn't receive the barrel.
No, the
It's
trunnion
the
does.
trunnion that receives the barrel. It just has the trigger in it. That's it.
I never even thought about AKs.
The trunnion receives the magazine too.
Like, I mean, looking at an AK from a distance, I wouldn't think anything of it. But when I'm looking at the mechanics, yeah, that's not even close to a receiver. That's more like
is the closest thing to the receiver. And some AKs, they consider the trunnion to be the receiver. Like,
really?
Yeah, and so, well, I mean, and this is all BS. I hate this crap so much, but like, so the Arsenal guns are serialized on the trunnion. And so it's either Arsenal or one of the Russian imports. I forget which, but they're only serialized on the trunnion. And so what they do is to make it a pistol and not an SBR or whatever, they take the trunnion out of the stamped receiver and then put it back. They take the trunnion out, change the barrel, and then put it back.
Yeah, in my opinion, an AK receiver is way closer to a pile of dog shit than it is an actual receiver.
Whoa. Hey, rude. Dude, I'm on that 545 master race.
Oh, whatever,
dude. I mean, come on. Have you put a lot of rounds through an AK-74?
No, just 39 or.
Then there you go. I was gonna say if you have shot one and you didn't fall in love with it, I don't believe you. If you ever come down to Florida, you can shoot my 74 by 105. You're gonna fall in love with it.
Actually, I take that back. The one that keyholed, the Tantal.
Oh,
that one I shot.
That's bad. Yeah, no.
And I got 4 rounds through it in a case and got stuck in the barrel.
No, those were a nightmare. They had 5.56 barrels. It was a total joke.
Have you ever handled the Wolf 91 upper? Also, our rifle length buffers better than carbine.
I have a Wolf 91 upper right next to me.
Also love the XM 195. Have you ever? I handled the Wolf 91 upper once, but the head spacing was off, so you'd have to mortar it if you didn't fire the round.
Oh,
that's the only experience I had.
Yeah, I've got one, and it seems nice.
Wapaka tuning in. What's up? Who the hell is in Wapaka watching this? Because I actually lived there for a little bit. I didn't think anyone liked me when I left that town. What were we talking about?
People are giving bad opinions about it.
I'm going to go check the Romy G. I want to see where the serial number is.
Okay.
Same thing. They got it on the trunnion.
But do they? But so a Romy G.
Oh, it was a build, so there's nothing on the receiver.
Oh,
but there is a number on the trunnion.
Yeah, no, that's how they did it. Like that's just how they did it. Only a couple countries would bother putting a number on the receiver because it's just considered like a nothing. You know, it's not a milled part that they were paying any attention to. So yeah, I mean, if I were the ATF and I were like, to me, the AK trunnion would be the receiver. And the AR upper would be the receiver. I'm glad they're not doing that because that would make it much harder to build. So there's part of me that has optimism bias that wants them to just keep it up the way it has because frankly, it's somewhat convenient. You know, I mean, I like being able to just go click, click with uppers, you know, it's like, I want to shoot 300 today. Click, you know, it's nice. And I get what you're saying. They would, I'm sure that there are plenty of guys up there that would love to get rid of that. But to be honest, they're lazy government workers. They don't want to get confused when they look at an AR.
Yeah, honestly, if I was the ATF and I was looking to really stick it to them,
yeah,
I mean, I could go back and be like, all uppers now need to be serialized. If it's not, and you're caught in possession with it, that's contraband, federal 10 years in a federal pounding in the ass prison. Right. Or I would go, as of this date, now all uppers and lowers are a unit as one. they both need to be serialized. They cannot be separated anymore. Or I would go, as of this date, the uppers are going to be serialized from now on. Everything before it doesn't count anymore. That's still a receiver on the lower receiver. Or I just add and a commonly known part as the AR-15 lower receiver.
I mean, that last one, so all the other ones you mentioned, they'd have to actually pass a new law. But the last one, they could do that. They could do that.
Because that would work.
I mean, it would work. But I mean, the whole definition is broken. So, like, I mean, if they're gonna try to like do their job, you know, there should be. Anyway, I'm not gonna ever say that the ATF should do anything that's a good idea. So I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut before I like tell them how to do their jobs. That's on them. You know. Oh yeah, no, Steve, stop giving them ideas. Oh, I'm sorry.
Any day now. He has done it yet, but still any day now. Stop giving them ideas. As long as I don't mess with the XMR 556. What the hell is the XMR 556?
I have no idea, man.
Neither do I.
I look at the stuff I'm into, dude. Do I look like I know what an XMR 556 is?
Tell them to retire. No, because if they brought in new blood, you know what would happen? We'd just change everything. By the time the smoke settled, it'd probably wind up being worse.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's true. Like, so yeah, and that's the thing about the pistol braces. So that's what I was trying to say. Is I was trying to explain. Listen, what we should be doing is attacking the NFA, attacking its legitimacy, and attacking it as a nonsense piece of trash. But until then, hey, just like don't call it a stock, you know, just for now.
That kind of makes me weird about shouldering them on videos now.
Oh, he's talking about the Mr. 556, the HK MR 556.
I wouldn't buy it.
I wouldn't buy one either. And you know what? If you want a 416, you want to find one of the Titan Defense 415s. Have you heard of those?
No.
So the Mr. 556, I call it that because it's derogatory. I know it's the MR 556, but yeah, the Mr. 556, they changed so much from the 416 for the civilian market. They made a mess. But Titan Defense, they brought in actual 416s and just copied them. They're just copies, and they got sued out of existence for it. But you can still find them sometimes, and if you want a 416, in my opinion, that's the way to go. Like it is as close as you can get.
I just don't see the drive to having an external piston. That is the one with the external piston, right?
It's a short stroke.
Yeah, I just don't see the drive of changing the platform because I haven't looked at the specs in forever, but I'm almost positive a standard AR-15 compared to that, it's heavier, it's got an external piston, it's got more moving parts. I just don't see the appeal. That's me though. That doesn't mean you shouldn't, but
right.
That's just my opinion. For me, it makes more sense to go with the standard AR-15 where I can walk into any store, get parts. I have less moving parts. It's lighter.
Yeah, and also, you know, I'm going to be honest, I love piston guns. I just told you guys I have 2 piston ARs. In all of my experience shooting a bunch of different ARs, I have had more malfunctions with piston guns than with normal AR gas systems. And I'm not going to call AR DI because it's actually not DI. It's just a weird rear piston. But with short stroke piston guns, I have had much more malfunctions with those than normal ARs.
See, I'm not in the same class. The only one that I seen a malfunction with for external piston was somebody that actually shot it. And what had happened is it tilted down and it cut out the buffer tube. I'm like, that's not good. I have seen them go on piston guns where it started carving it, but nobody shoots the gun enough to really see the reliability testing.
Yeah. Well, there's a problem with carbon buildup in the front of the piston too. I mean, like you got to keep it clean. You know, just like with anything.
Super Chat, what do you think of the forced reset? I'm still trying to get my hands on it. There's going to be 2 factors that are going to make it determining for me. One, how bad is the trigger slap? Because it's got to have trigger slap. It's forcing the trigger forward. 2, if I hold the trigger really, really hard, will I keep the bolt out of battery? If it passes those 2 qualifications relatively successfully, it gets my vote of confidence. If I can only pull the trigger so many times because my finger's numb from the trigger slap, Or if I pull the trigger too hard, it prevents it and induces a malfunction, then no. But again, I'm still trying to get my hands on one.
Yeah, I'm going to get my hands on one. I'm going to test it out. I feel like it doesn't work the way they're leading us to believe. I feel like it's one of those things that, well, no, I'm not saying it doesn't work.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah. I think it's one of those rhythm things. You know, it's going to have to be, because when your finger gets slapped forward, it's not the same as just like continuing to pull, right? I think it's going to be a rhythm thing. It's very interesting that these are wire EDM cut. They're all wire EDM cut. So I'm very.
So does that mean?
So they're cut from flat sheet metal. All of the parts are cut from flat sheet metal.
Okay.
And it's not laser cut. It's cut with It's called wire EDM. I'm not going to get into the, you can look it up. It's an interesting process, but it's not the most precise. So I wonder how good the trigger is going to feel when it's made on a fairly imprecise manufacturing method. So that's why, and I'm a total trigger queen. I'm going to admit that. Like, I could have a wonderful gun. Like, I have an AR-180. I love that gun. It's so cool. It's super reliable. And so it's another external short piston gun. But I don't shoot it because the trigger just upsets me. You know, I need a clean trigger. So that's going to be my decision on whether I like that trigger or not is how it feels. If it feels as good or only a little worse than a regular GI trigger, I'm game. But if it's like mushy, it's not worth it for me.
If my finger goes numb or my knuckle breaks from the trigger being forced forward from the force of the bolt carrier, I'm not down.
Yeah.
If I pull the trigger too hard, now there's exception. Obviously, if I put like a stick on there and a knee on a stick and pull like that, that doesn't count. But if there's a point where I can pull too hard and it induces a malfunction, I'm not game. That's why I didn't like the binary trigger either, because if I ran it too fast, which I can do, the hammer follows the bolt up and I have a dead trigger.
I've done it too. I did it the first time I picked one up because I was like, oh, so I smashed on it as fast as possible, right? And then it went click, and I was like, it was bang click because I was trying to like go really fast.
That's why I like the echo trigger, because that's actually got a timing mechanism in it. So if you do go too fast, your trigger does die for a second, but then you just release it all the way and you keep pulling. It doesn't force you to charge it again.
Yeah. But I mean, just looking at that design, it's I would be shocked if moderate like backwards trigger pressure, didn't induce a malfunction. I do think it's gonna, like, just looking at it, and I haven't had my hands on one. I will soon, but just looking at it, it looks to me like it's gonna be a rhythm game. It's gonna be like a getting into a groove type of thing,
Well, if I can't get my hands on one soon, I'm gonna cover the EMR. I forget the numbers behind it, but it's like EMR and then a couple of numbers, which was the force reset trigger in 2013, because they actually got those in stock. For some reason, those never got popular. I don't know what the reason behind it was, but I'll wind up getting one of those, and we'll see how they compare with the new trigger.
Yep.
Did you guys already get to the brawl and then make up? Super chat, did you guys already get to the brawl that and make up? That was just sparring. There was no real fighting there. I mean, I went a little bit hard in the video. After I dropped it, I felt kind of guilty. And he went up messaging me. I'm like, oh, thank God. So I started messaging him back.
No, and I like you. I like your videos. I would love it if you admitted I wasn't a ripoff artist, though. Well, I don't believe in copyright. I am not a copier.
Right on, man. Oh, another super chat. Got myself one in the other day. Could only spread a few mags of ammo. Can't wait to shoot more. Oh, this guy said he got his hands on one the other day.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, he got one of them triggers. He
said he likes it.
Yeah, Joe, can you tell us, is it a like groove thing? Is it the type of thing where you got to kind of get into the groove to get it going? Or is it kind of like a smoother operation?
Does it hurt your finger? And if you pull it really hard, can you make the gun malfunction?
Yeah. VZ58, hot, certified.
Never shot a CZ58.
Oh, really?
I know. I'm a loser.
No, it's just clearly you just like you're not into the good stuff, right? You're not into you're not into the good stuff, man.
Well, I mean, the biggest AK argument is that the round's bigger. Well,
Oh, no,
I
that's-
just use the excuse that I use like with girls. I'm like, it feels bigger than it looks, and just hurry up and finish before they can protest.
No, Jesus. But yeah, no, but I'm the opposite. I want the smaller AK round. I want the little needle.
Those
but
are wicked.
When I played Halo as a kid, I always wanted to use the needler, and so maybe it's because the AK-74. Like looking in the mag, it reminds me of the needler. All those little tiny needles sticking out.
I was honestly on board back when I could get spam cans for, I think it was $78. And how much is a spam can? 500 rounds?
For 545, a spam can is 1,080 rounds.
Yeah, so $78 for 1,000 rounds. The AR that I was talking about, where we actually cut out the buffer tube, that was in 545 because we just get a spam can with a bump stock all day long.
Dude, yeah. No, I mean, but it's still a good deal. It's still cheaper than 556 for 545, and the ammo, it works. It works, and my favorite. To me, the AK-74 is like an AK where you just don't got to worry about anything. It's too heavy now to forget about it. Oh, the recoil, now it's got a muzzle brake, forget about it. It's everything is the only thing you have to worry about when you're shooting an AK-74 is pointing it at the target and squeezing the trigger. Everything else is just like don't think about it.
$2 chat from Mr. Snow. Thank you. Yeah, no, I just don't like those commie blasters. I'd rather go American.
Well, no, they're not all communist.
They are in my mind.
Well, Poland was only a client state, and so was Bulgaria.
But there's still an AK on the commie flag.
Well,
no, it's really just part of the image. Like,
no, I got you,
America.
dude. I got you. Florida man likes AKs. It's true.
Another $2 super chat from Mr. Snow. If you're trying to say something for whatever reason the words aren't showing up, it's just super chat. CRS Firearms, will you ever make an EDC video, and what is your EDC? I did way back before my channel ever got big, and that sorry. An can't talk. An XDS 45. That's going to change though, because it's a little bit big and it's a Springfield. I'm probably going to wind up going with like a SIG P238, but I haven't quite committed yet.
Yeah. So the guy, he got back to us on the reset trigger. Sort of. I haven't tried to force a malfunction by pulling too hard, but I did find a groove. Hard to say. Only 2 mags sent down rage. Need more time, but ammo is hard to find. So I guess he's generally saying, yeah, you got to kind of have a groove, but he hasn't tried to make it malfunction yet.
Opinion on buying an MP5 build kit? If you're good at building, do it, but I wouldn't do it if you're not an SOT, because what makes a submachine gun awesome is full auto. I'm weird. If I'm looking at a 5-pound gun that can shoot 223 or a 5-pound gun that can shoot 9mm, I'm going 223. Now, if I'm an SOT and I can go full auto, then that's a little bit of a different story, a little bit cooler for me. I wouldn't go submachine gun if I can't spray.
Well, the other thing so there's some great 9mm carbines, right? And in my opinion, they're not MP5s, like in semi-auto. Because the MP5 trigger is the same type of trigger pull as the G3 and all the other ones, and it is it's awful. All right, and if you're with 9mm, I agree with you. With a 9mm, you're there to hose, right? That's the whole point of having a really controllable package. You're there to hose, so you need a light trigger pull that you can slap the heck out of. That is not an MP5. MP5 shoots smooth, shoots nice, it shoots on target. But if it's a semi-auto only, I'm not interested.
Because if you can just pull it and hold it, that's a great trigger pull.
Yeah, I mean, who cares, right? You don't find your groove in full auto until the 3rd round anyway, right? So
okay, there we go. Yeah. All right, now we're going.
For me, it's always a spiral. I start and then I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. All right, and it's like sewing at that point.
See, I never find my groove because I can't keep my aim good because I'm too busy yelling America.
Oh,
it just screws up my line of sight and everything. I'm like, America!
And then my Brown asks how I respond to allegations that the disclaimer dog isn't actually a talking dog. I decline to respond to these allegations.
What? Oh, sorry. Reloading steel K762 by 39. Is it worth it? Can you do it? I have 3,000 rounds right now. I just take it to the recycling center.
No, don't try to reload that. There's a lacquer coating on the case, and it's gone now.
And the primer, it's got the 2 holes, so you got to use hydraulic to pop it out.
Or sit there on a lathe and convert it. Like, dude, just no, man. Like, I mean, I have been tempted to take those really nice Yugo brass cases, things, and convert them. But honestly, you can get privy brass. It's not expensive. Like, if you're trying to reload 7.62x39, like he said, take those thousands of rounds to the recycling center, use that money, buy yourself a bag of privy brass, and don't worry about it.
Right on. What do you think about the USS Liberty? I don't know anything about it.
Sounds like a boat.
It does. Probably a big one because it's got a nice name.
Yeah, they save the nice names for the big ones. I heard that.
Order a rare breed trigger on January 1st when they were in stock. BDU? At BDU.
It's probably some distributor.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what it is. Still says pending for shipping. They might be drop shipping out of there. Like, for example, when I finally get a website set up, because I was ready to pull the trigger, and then the whole panic happened and there was nothing to sell. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to waste my money on that. The website will actually pull out of other distributors. So if you go to my website and you order, it'll show the inventory of all my distributors. So then you buy from there and it just ships straight from there. Like a lot of times when we get guns in from Bud's Guns, they don't come from Bud's Guns. They come from other distributors. And they probably drop shipped out of a place. The orders probably happened so quick. Yours actually was not in stock when you placed the order. So you're on back order waiting for it to go in stock and then you'll get shipped out.
Yeah, when I talked to the guy, he said he has a bunch of them. But I mean, he may be waiting on getting them to distributors. He told me that the facility that they have has them. So I don't work for him. I can't tell you what's going on. You just have secondhand knowledge from me that they're out there.
Well, yeah, and he ordered from some other place that wasn't the original place. So I'm assuming they were using drop shipping off of the website.
Maybe.
John C. asks, are you a military vet? No. Or I'm not anyway.
Me either.
Is dry lube a good idea? And what is good lubrication for negative 20 degrees weather? I use thin oil like Rem oil. I've tried thicker oils, like different types of greases, different types of oil. And once I get down below like 10 degrees, it forces my AR-15 into a malfunction. It just slows down all the parts so much, it'll either short stroke or it won't come back far enough to lock open on an empty mag. Or I literally have to like put it on the ground, put my knee on the charging handle, and pull it back. Stay away from everything heavy in cold weather. Definitely greases. Never use greases. Heavy oils. Again, I use a light oil like Rem oil. What do you think of their triggers? Will they get banned? No, they probably won't get banned because there actually is another one that's almost the exact same that was made in 2013 that actually has an ATF approval letter. Runs the same way. Now, that company itself, from what I understand, doesn't have an approval letter, but there is another company that has an approval letter on that kind of design.
Yeah, for whatever an approval letter is worth. And
right.
I've really got to get like those.
The bump stock had one.
They don't carry the force of law. These opinion letters are worthless. They're worthless if they say something good. They're worthless if they say something bad. My F2000 doesn't have a rubber grommet. It might be because it's a first gen. Mr. Snow sent it in there.
Okay, now I get it. I think that was actually a sexual in nature comment to you. He says you're trying to seduce him with your beautiful voice.
Oh. Yeah, no, you talked about my voice for like 5 minutes.
Oh, I know. I needed something to talk about, though.
But yeah, no, this is my real voice. It's not that great.
Well, I understand in court, so it's very important to project confidence because otherwise, if you're not confident, why the fuck are they going to believe you?
Honestly, I've tried it. I've gone to court. They really they kind of get sick of people like trying to be overconfident. In my experience,
Oh, really?
judges, oh yeah, dude. Because every crappy 2-bit prosecutor is up there saying, "Judge, it is obvious that," and like it's just, and you're just like, I can't tell if this guy's full of crap or not. And so the judges like that I've gone in front of, I've had them actually like indicate that what they like about me is that I'd be like, I understand, I would just speak straight like a regular person, and it would be refreshing. So then they'd actually start listening to what I was saying.
See, I've never been represented by a lawyer. I never went to a jury trial.
I hope you don't have to. That we're awful.
I have represented myself,
Okay.
and I just went with confidence, and I got away with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, awesome.
He's like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, irrelevant. What does that have to do with anything?
Right. I mean, it's a lot of people are asking where in Florida I am.
Yeah, where are you in Florida?
Right now I'm in South Florida, in West Palm Beach. But I'm going to be moving to Orlando hopefully within the year.
What's your opinion on the portable wall hanger? Do you think that removing that screw would be counting as modifying the part from original selling intent? Or do you think they're just going after him for how he was advertising it using keywords like auto sear?
It's all about intent. Okay. And so with that, there's obvious geometry there and this is like hard for me, right? Because I hate the ATF and I hate the NFA and I want everyone to be able to do crap like this. But the thing is, you gotta be more clever than that. You I'm sorry. You can't. I think it was a bad idea. I think that doing all of this stuff kind of like, all of this like wink, wink, nudge, nudge stuff. If you're going to do it, stick to it. Don't put auto sear in your thing.
But do you think it was the keywords that they got him on, or are they going to, do you think they'll try to argue that that screw wasn't enough of a modification from the original part?
They've argued before that, that a single, what they said, the single pass of a milling cutter was not enough, right? And so this is less than that. So if it's something that has geometry that only has one purpose, and I disagree that it only has one purpose, right? I disagree that this thing only has the purpose of an auto sear. I agree that it makes a fine bottle opener or whatever, right? Or coat hanger. However, if you're gonna do something like that, you gotta be more clever. You can't.
Well, you should have made it a one-piece unit, so you'd actually have to like go to a bench grinder and grind off the tabs,
or like not even just tabs. I mean, it just can't be something. There can't be a separate part in there that has geometry that is only one thing it does. Like, I like, and I root for these guys, but not when they're stupid.
It was going a bit overboard.
I hate the NFA. If the NFA was a person, I would get sincere pleasure if it got slow stomach cancer. Like, I hate the NFA. But I mean, we're living in this stupid hellscape, right? We gotta, if we want to be clever, we gotta play by the rules, especially if we're taking people's credit card numbers. I don't know, man. It's
you gotta. I think there's super chats for you. The second one up.
Which one?
Or maybe it's third.
Brady Law Boys, what's up? Greg, for you, bro.
TRS Firearms. What's your favorite? What is your favorite?
Vocaloid.
The fuck is a Vocaloid?
I don't know. Google it.
What is a Vocaloid? It brought up something in Japanese.
Damn.
Something about a voice software product. Oh, it's also an animation. That's got to be what he's talking about. I've never watched the animation.
What's your favorite one?
Oh, that's just animations, period?
No, of the things that came up. He gave you $5. You got to pick one.
Let me look at the images.
There's a blue one. There's a red one.
Oh, she don't got very big boobs.
Oh.
Gotta have boobs. Because that's like the whole thing with anime. They gotta have big eyes and big boobs. Well, the blue one seems to be the star, and I kind of like the color blue, so that's the one I'm going with. All right, are people starting to hoard magazines? I haven't seen that yet. I'm in Alaska, and I don't know what's going on. The only thing I'm seeing people openly hoard is ammunition. Speaking of stomach cancer. Look up 3D printing a core of a power panel cable, plastic way, and then...
Oh, he's talking about Lost PLA, where it's like Lost Wax but with a 3D printed part. It's pretty cool.
What is it?
So Lost Wax casting,
Mm.
where you have a 3D part that you make from wax.
Oh yeah, and you can make knives. I've seen
you can
that.
make whatever, and you put it in sand. So now, to make more complicated parts, they're doing Lost PLA, where you put a 3D printed component in the sand and burn it out, and then cast the aluminum into it.
I considered making a ninja star out of brass once doing that. I didn't, though. I got lazy. Well, then I was trying to melt the brass with an aluminum pan, and the pan melted. Should have probably looked up the melting temperature first, because I use aluminum to like melt all my lead and stuff, because it's got a higher melting temp and it's light and it doesn't seem to transfer as much heat to my hand.
Jameson says that it's Miku. That's the Vocaloid you like.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the point of this straight trigger virus curve?
Straight triggers versus curved triggers.
Oh, duh. Like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know. I know in National Match you're not allowed to run straight triggers, and when I first started playing with different triggers, the very first rifle where I'm like, okay, I want to put a good trigger in here was the Black 13, so I looked up National Match rules. They said you had to have a curved trigger. So I haven't had a chance to play with straight triggers yet. However, on the Prophet, the sniper rifle I'm building, that I have that option kind of. But I have to try to figure out what the pros and cons are of going with a straight trigger before I actually put it in, because that's going to wind up being like a $6,000 gun, and I don't want to put it on a trigger I hate.
Yeah, every part of your $6,000 gun you should like.
Yeah, absolutely love. Otherwise, you need to just sell it.
It's totaled. Get another one.
Winter gloves, no gloves. If it's cold, go winter gloves. First, no gloves. Oh, what I do, like when I'm hunting in the cold, which I'm assuming what you're asking, is I wear a big fat glove that easily slides on and off my hand. So I got my rifle like this, and if I see game, just a flick of my wrist, and then the glove comes off and lands on the ground, I engage the deer. Whether or not I hit it, then I pick up my glove and I go back to whatever the hell I'm doing. And you want your fingers to be warm. It's when they're like numb, trying to use a safety selector is a pain.
I cannot relate to this.
It's terrible.
As a Floridian, I cannot relate to this at all.
Just go put your hands in the freezer for like 10 minutes and you'll figure it out. Try to crochet or something. It's awful, especially when they start warming up, because it's just extreme pain all the way down your hands, because it'll slowly start shutting off blood to keep your heart from freezing. So it'll start with your fingertips. So then those will go numb. Then your knuckles. Then these knuckles. And then once you get past these knuckles, you're in it. Because now it'll go to the wrist and trying to get your whole hand warm. When it finally opens up the blood, you just get the pain shooting down your arm, and it's awful. And you got to be careful with how you warm up your hand, because if you start warming up the front of your hand, it tells your blood vessels to open up, so then you get whatever the outside air temperature is, blood shooting in your arm, and it can cause a heart attack.
Yeah, no, I mean, I lived in DC for a while, and it got cold, but like only ever cold enough to freeze the ends, like the fingertips, and that sucked. I can't imagine that level of cold.
Yeah, you're just better off if you're gonna have gloves. Wear something really big that slides off your hand easy, so you can just flip it on the ground.
This guy said, engaging deer. Jesus, how tough are deer up there? Are they armed and shoot back?
No, but they move in packs, so if you got to be quick if you want to get more than one.
Yeah, McNoodles. Enemy spotted. Deer, 300 meters northwest.
Yahtzee. It's more like there's a pack of deer. I got like maybe 2 seconds to shoot as many of them as I can. Any recommendations, AR triggers? I really like the Rock River Arms National Match trigger. It's not like awesome, but it's pretty damn good. It's a 2-stage trigger and it's chrome. And it's like $70.
Chrome.
Yeah, like actual chrome. Like you can polish it up and make it shinier. That you can make it shiny.
I heard that stuff won't get you home.
Nope.
But no, I've used those triggers. And you know what, man? Like when you're on a budget, that's nice for the price.
It is.
Yeah. I've got, I've used that and I've got like an entry level Geisley in my 416. And it's not that much nicer, right? It's nicer, right? But for $75, if you're on a budget, that's the way to go, in my opinion, too.
Well, if you want to put in the work too, chrome is a very, very hard material, so you can throw a hell of a polish on it, so you can make the interacting pieces just glass smooth.
For sure.
But all right, let's wrap up the stream. If there's any more comments you want to hit real quick, we'll hit on that, and then we'll shut her down.
There's 70s. Oh my god. 3 deer will get UAV. This is great. A lot of hate for SOE.
What's advice for a good SOE?
Does he mean SOT?
I think so.
Or
Get your
special
07. This way you can manufacture.
That's what we have. We have an 07 SOT, and it's
amazing.
It's nice. But I mean, like, here's the you check your zoning wherever you are. That's what's going to mess you up. Nothing else. ATF doesn't not want to give it to you, and they're not doing that like business purpose crap anymore. Really, they're not like checking to make sure you're selling stuff anymore. They cut that out.
Yeah, they came to us and we're like, we're just making sure you're not selling out of a P.O box.
Yeah, no, they want to give it to you because guess what? It means that you're going to register everything, and they love that. So they want to give you the SOT. It's your local government that doesn't want you to have it. So you gotta go
to the town board and
well,
grease some palms.
I mean, the palm greasing. Hopefully, you can just slip them a check. But
I was lucky. My village president actually used to babysit me when I was a kid, so I was in Flint.
Man. But you've got to, and it depending on your municipality. So we just moved towns here, and now the town we're in, they're sending people over. They're doing all this, and we had one inspector come in who's from the town. Again, this isn't the ATF. And they're like, yeah, I wish they had told me before that you were a gun manufacturer. And I was like, why? It was, I just like to, make sure I'm prepared for that type of thing. And it's like, well, here's the bathroom. It meets the standards. All right, let's go into the back. Nothing's on fire. Leave.
Well, if I were to go into a town meeting now on a board I don't even know, I would bring up facts like, dude, with the coronavirus panic, everything, we will be bringing survival and camping gear into town. We will be an extra source of food. We'll have firearms and ammunition there, so if things get really bad, you could always go hunting. Make up arguments that really don't mean anything to us, but mean something to somebody that may not want guns. And really, do you want people leaving and going to other towns to buy their guns and ammo and then bringing the coronavirus back here? We could just keep it in this town. Everything will be nice. Us opening up a shop is a positive for the whole community. We'll be paying taxes on a piece of property that you are not collecting taxes on anymore.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool if all you had to say was, hey, I'm an adult and I want to sell things to people who want to buy them.
Right?
Oh, cool. Do it. That's how that should be. So yeah.
Your heavier 223 bullets, they don't really make a difference till you're past like 250 yards. Because 55 grain is king out to just about 300 yards. It beats everything in trajectory, velocity. Yeah, it doesn't carry quite enough kinetic energy, but it's moving fast 2,200 feet per second, so it doesn't really matter. It's not till your farther ranges. So unless you're building a purpose-built rifle for those farther ranges, I just go with like 62 or 55. My personal choice, 55, unless I'm running some sort of A2 sighting system that is dependent on the trajectory of a 62 grain bullet.
What color filling my pistol make me shoot better? Pink or light gray? But yeah, I think that's good.
But all right. Well, it's nice having you on.
Yeah, man, it was a pleasure.